Aloha guitar class. This is lesson 15. This is the last lesson of the semester. Today we're going to talk about doing some more improv with the scales because that's one of the best applications of this learning scales and is also a pathway towards being more creative musically, which is one thing that you want to be able to do eventually, okay, instead of just simply memorizing things or simply reading music off of the paper, okay? So yeah, we're gonna try and cram a bit of things into this final lesson. Like I said before in the previous lesson, don't feel like you have to master all of this stuff. There are concepts that I want to introduce you to, and as long as you practice them slowly and methodically, it's never too difficult. What makes it difficult is speeding things up, which takes a long time, which may take more than the 3.5 months or so that we have in each semester. Okay, but that's okay. So today, what you want to get out, and you definitely want to print these things out because scrolling around on the computer screen is pretty lame for music, especially when you have multiple pages, like some of the charts that we're doing today have. So Jack Johnson, Imagine, Eric Clapton, Layla, Bridge, Leiloa's Melee, and Mahina's Trot are the slack key things that we're going to do, and then the G Blues movable scale. Okay, so first thing is let's play the exercise that we learned in the last lesson with the backing track, okay? And that was we go up, we put the backing track on, and we go up the open position C scale, and then down the A minor scale, and then we go up the C major movable scale, and then actually we go up that and then down the A minor scale, and then we go up the open position scale. So we do the same thing going working our way up the fingerboard and then working our way back. So up the open position scale, down the minor scale, up the movable C major scale, down the minor scale, and finally up the major movable scale. Okay, and I won't make you do eighth notes, we'll do quarter notes. Okay, ready? 2, 3 quarters. I guess at the end you should go up and down that scale. Otherwise, it just is you could do the exercise again, but that's a good way to end it. Okay, so that's that exercise. That's one of the best ways to get these scales, kind of under your fingers, as we say. So that you can play them without having to think too much about it. You memorize it, and then your fingers kind of know where to go and do the work. Okay? This requires daily practice. Okay, once you can do the quarter notes, then you try the eighth notes with the cross picking. And if you want to try playing along, then go ahead. If this is too much for you, you can go on the YouTube channel later on and slow it down and play along with me, or you can just work with the backing track at a slower speed. Okay, so cross picking, eighth notes. The good thing about this is if you can do it, it doesn't take as long. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then the next step is what we call random quarter notes. Okay, let's do random quarter notes. So the only thing you just want to avoid is like starting on the first note and going straight up and down the scale, and you want to kind of move around from position to position and try only playing notes that are found in those positions. And I think well, this is kind of part of your ear training too, because in the process of this you will inevitably hit a wrong note, and hopefully your ear will become attuned to which notes sound right and which notes sound wrong in the process of doing this, which is part of what this is all about as well. Okay, random quarter notes. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Random quarter notes, adding articulation. So examples of articulation are vibrato, hammer on, pull off, slide, okay, or bend, which you shouldn't do too much of with the acoustic guitar, but you can do with the electric guitar, which we'll see. We'll see some of that in a minute. Okay, so random quarter notes, adding articulation as much as possible. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another thing you can try is playing multiple notes. Okay, as long as there are 2 notes in the scale. Oh, I hit one wrong. Sorry. It happens. You can do that open string. As the notes are within the scale, they also work. And that also sounds very cool. And you know, same thing with the open string. Adding slides. Okay, there's so many ways to get creative with this. Okay. Random eighth notes and adding articulation where you can. It's kind of hard to articulate every single note. It doesn't sound that great when you do either, but let's do that. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and this is just to, get you kind of in the process of working towards improvising something more and more and more complex, just by gradually adding a layer after layer after layer. And don't worry too much about whether it's a good solo or a bad solo. Just try and play random notes just to get you going. The improvisation doesn't have to be like a masterwork the first time. Okay, so that's kind of a review of what we did before. Now let's take a look at the G blues scale. All right, now let's play this first. Okay, it's going to start here on G, and then the 6th fret with the pinky, and then the 3rd fret with the first finger. Let's play the notes in parentheses. The other one in parentheses. And work our way back. Okay, now when we play all of those notes, and even the ones in parentheses too, we call that the blues scale. Okay, and then there's another scale we can get from this if we just take those notes in parentheses out, and that's another scale called the G minor pentatonic scale. And people often get those scales confused, but yeah, one is called the blues scale and the other one is called the minor pentatonic scale. They're very similar, but they're not the same. Okay, let's play the one without the notes in parentheses, and that's the minor pentatonic scale. Okay, ready, and the chord that's associated with this is either G7, like this, like the one that you have on your chord charts, the one we played in Amazing Grace. It's one of the chords in Amazing Grace. And then there's another way to play that chord, and with a full bar on 3, and then the middle finger on the G string 4th fret, and the ring finger on the A string 5th fret. this is kind of the G7 that's more in this position that we're playing the scale in. Okay. And the blues scale is cool. We like those blues scale notes. Like those notes. The other scale is pretty cool too because it creates a nice picking pattern, which is 2 notes per string, so it's very symmetrical, and that's a good one to do cross picking. Guitarists like these 2 note per string or 3 note per string scales because it creates kind of a symmetrical picking pattern. We can do those quickly without thinking too much. So both patterns are good, and these are derived from the minor scale. So this is a good thing to know about this scale, because if you can find the key and the major and minor scale that are related, and you take the minor scale and you play the blues scale starting from the same note, then that's another scale you can use to do improvisation. So the minor scale, if you remember, goes like this. We learned it up here from 5, but you can do the same pattern down here from G. We just played it when we did that exercise, but okay. And then if we take the 2nd note and the 6th note out of that scale, we get the minor pentatonic scale. So that's why it says minor pentatonic scale formula is minor 1, 3, 4, 5, 7. And this is 1 again. And then we can do the same thing. Okay, so we just take notes, 2 of the notes out of the minor scale. The minor scale and the major scale both have 7 notes. That's what we call a septatonic scale. And when we take 2 notes out, we get a pentatonic scale. Okay, so that's how you can get the pentatonic scale from the minor scale, and that just shows you what the relationship is and what the scale is derived from. Okay, and so why, like a certain blues scale would work over a certain chord progression. So if you can find that key and find what the related minor chord is, play the blues scale starting from the same note as the minor scale, then you get the blues scale in that key. Okay, and then blues scale formula is minor scale plus 1 more note, which is the flat 5 or sharp 4. Okay, so you get the minor pentatonic scale, and then you add in that 1 more note. Related chord G7. We already talked about that. Okay, so let's play the blues scale, and I got another backing track for you, the G blues backing track. Okay, and this is just going to give you kind of like 4 clicks to start. And let's do quarter notes, G blues. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, it didn't have enough clicks. Let's back it all the way up. Ready? And 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Let's do 8th notes if you can. Cross picking. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. Okay. Now, when you do that, you want to swing the eighth notes. So you can listen to the drum, which is playing a shuffle, which goes da 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 da, and you can do exactly what that drum is doing, and that will teach you how to swing the eighth notes. 2, 3, and 4, and. Okay, now let's do random quarter notes. Okay, so we'll follow the same process we did before to do blues soloing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Articulation. Okay. Random eighth notes with articulation. 2, 3, Okay. Fun. So the more you do that, the more bluesy it'll start to sound. Okay. If you break out the electric guitar, you can make it sound more rockin'. Okay. And the thing you can do on the electric is you can bend the notes more. Okay. That's the main articulation that you can do on the electric that you cannot do on the acoustic. Okay, so I'm gonna do random quarter notes, and I'm gonna do more bending the strings. Okay, you can see how that sounds. Quarter notes. Eighth notes. Okay, and then I'll just do some soloing. Okay. Okay, so that's how you can have fun with electrics and acoustics using the blues scale. Okay, and what I was just doing there is just kind of like a more, developed version of, playing the scale up and down, doing random notes and adding articulations and things like that. Now, that's in the key of G, G blues, all right? And then we can also use that same backing track, this one, and if you remember, that's in the key of C major, and we play this A minor, and what we just learned is that you can play the A blues scale starting from the same note as the minor scale. So this is the A blues scale, and we just start from the 5th fret instead of the 3rd fret, and that's another scale you can use to improvise over this backing track. Very good. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that works for that as well, and you can see how it sounds with the electric as well. Very good. In addition to your minor and major scale. Okay, so you can have lots of fun with major, minor, and blues scale soloing. And that's it for the there's one more blues scale that we know already. That's the E blues scale, and there's a backing track for that as well. And that's down here, the one we learned with the in the open position. All right, so you get like this. So let's take a look at this Jack Johnson Imagine. The original is John Lennon, and this is Jack Johnson's version, and it uses a finger style picking pattern. Original is kind of like a piano thing with John Lennon singing and playing the piano, and this one has a guitar. Jack Johnson capos the 6th fret. Okay, so you have a capo, you can try this. Okay, but for the purposes of this lesson, I'm gonna just do it in the open position. Okay, so in the last lesson, we talked about this right hand position that's usually referred to as the classical right hand position. And in that position, you do the thumb on the low E, the A, and the D string. Okay, so these 3 lower strings, and then the first finger is on the G string, and the middle finger is on the B string, and the ring finger plays the high E string. Okay, and that's that one works a lot of the time. Okay, there's this other position that's a little bit simpler, so I'm going to show you that one today, and that works for a few of the pieces we're going to look at today. And I'm not going to go through every single note on all of these, but we're going to hit kind of the key points on each one. At this point, you know, you've learned how to read tabs, and you know a thing or two about some of the chord symbols and how to read the chart and everything. So mainly what I need to show you is the picking pattern and some of the key points here. So it starts with C, and we don't need this middle finger actually, so you can take that off because we just don't play that string. And this right hand position is the thumb plays all four of these strings. Okay, so the four lower strings, E, A, D, and G this time. The first finger plays on the B string, and the middle finger plays on the A string. So no ring finger. And when you take that ring finger out of the mix, you know, it gives the thumb a little bit more area to cover. Okay, it has to play on four strings instead of just three, but it simplifies the picking patterns to some extent. And it works in some cases. Okay, so here's the picking pattern. You do the thumb, and then the middle finger, and then the first finger, and then the thumb comes over and plays this G string note, and then the middle finger, and then the first finger, and then the G string, and then the middle finger. Okay, let's do that again. Thumb, middle finger, first finger, thumb, middle finger, first finger, thumb, middle finger. Okay, and we also learn the abbreviations for the right hand fingers, which is P-I-M-A. Okay, so that would be P-M-I, P-M-I-P-I. Let's do that a few times just to get the hang of that. Ready, and... this one is really nice sounding, especially when you speed it up, but you know, you can only go as fast as you can go. So, and if you have to go really, really slow, then so be it. Right? There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, and then on this next measure, the pinky comes over and plays this 4 on the G string. Now this is a little bit of a stretch, okay, from 1 to 4, but when you don't have your middle finger down, it helps a little bit. And then if you capo the 6th fret and play it up here, it's a little bit easier because the frets are smaller up there. But anyway, let's do that measure. And when after you play the 4, you want to hold on to it until you get to those open strings here. Okay, so let me show you how to play this measure. So same picking pattern, thumb, and then for everywhere where you have 2 notes that you play at once, just pinch them together with the thumb and the first finger. Okay, and you can take all your fingers off the strings when you do that, and then we're going to play this F major 7 chord here, which is like F but without that bar. So no need to bar on this. And then you pinch these 2 notes together. It's kind of like the first finger comes out of position there, but that's just part of the rules. Is, you know, when you have two notes you play at the same time, pinch it together with the thumb and the first finger. Okay, and then this one we pinch, and then the middle finger, first finger, and the picking pattern resumes. Thumb. Okay, and now this part, something happens here, and that is that this 2 turns into a 0. And what you should do there is you should take your middle finger and your ring finger off the strings, because we're switching back to C, and then go back to C. Now this happens throughout the song, so in certain places, like from C to F major 7, the switch is kind of built into the composition here, right? And then here is just, you're taking some of your fingers off the strings, but you're leaving this first finger, because when we switch back to C, you're gonna have that finger in the same position again. Okay, so let's go through this line one more time, very slowly. All right, ready, and pinch, and then take your middle finger and your ring finger off. Okay, and then the verse part is very similar to this, okay, except we have a slightly different switch here with the hammer on. Okay, so this one we play the 2 open strings with the pinch and then hammer on like that. Okay, alright, this is a technique we've been doing for a little while now. Okay, so let's back it up to here. Everything else is going to be the same, and then the pinch and the hammer on this time, which this hammer on kind of helps because you get that finger in position and then you can add the other 2. So it kind of builds the switch into the pattern. Okay, verse. Now let's go a little slower than that. Ready, and then F major 7. Take your fingers off here and repeat. Okay, and now that repeats 1, 2, 3 times. Okay, and then it repeats one more time, and the 4th time you skip this and go to the 4th ending. Okay, so we've seen songs that have a 1st and 2nd ending. This might be the first one where we have a first through 3rd ending is what that means. So that means this is exactly the same 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and then the 4th time we skip this and take the 4th ending. Okay, and the only difference here is that we're not taking our fingers off the strings here, because we're going to continue on and play that F major 7 chord one more time. Alright, so let's take it from this pre-chorus part, because we don't have to go through all the repetitions. Ready, and it's B flat, ready, and then C/E, which is C without the ring finger. Just these 2 notes. Ready, and right there, you should take all your fingers off the strings, because we're gonna switch. You can do that here too. It's not really quite as necessary because you're only moving like one finger from here to here. Here it's going to be a completely different chord. We're going to do D minor, okay, which we've learned it this way, but on this song we have to use our pinky finger instead of our ring finger, okay? So D minor, you might, if you forget that chord, you might want to pause this and look it up in your chord chart, okay? Except instead of the ring finger on this one, we're going to use the pinky finger, and you'll see why when we get to that next measure, okay? Same picking pattern, thumb on the D string, ready, and don't take any fingers off here, because all we're going to do for this next measure is we're going to put this ring finger here on the C note, A string 3rd fret, and that's why we need to use the pinky finger to play D minor, because we need that extra finger for this measure, okay? And then when we get to these 2 zeros here at the end, you'll take all your fingers off the strings, okay? So D minor / C, ready, and off, and then G. Now we learned G like this, okay? And there's this other kind of G, and it's like this. You put this ring finger on the B string, and then you put your pinky finger underneath on the E string. So this is just another version of G. This is the simple one, and then this other version of G with 4 fingers. Okay? And that's going to be this G right here, except we don't need this finger, so you can just take this finger off. Okay? So G, ready, and the beauty of this song is that this picking pattern just stays exactly the same the whole time. It's pretty fast, so normally when you have some speed, and then when you get to here, you just hold G and let all those notes ring, okay? But yeah, when you're going fast, it's nice if the picking pattern is the same, because I can play it fast without it being over complicated. Okay, so that gets us through the pre-chorus. So watch out for open strings at the end of measures. That's a good place to take whatever fingers off the strings that you need to take off the strings to make the switch to the next chord. Sometimes he has it on the last note of the measure, and sometimes, like in the case of this D minor / C, he does 2 open string notes at the end of measures to make the switch. Okay, and remember to play D minor with your pinky on this one. Okay, and so that you have that extra finger for when you get to D minor / C. All right, now the chorus, okay? So we're gonna do a full bar here, okay? And so just remember the key to getting a bar chord, a full bar chord to sound good, is to make your finger very, very, very straight like this. You don't want any little bend to the finger at all. So very straight, and then we just need this one note here on the G string 2nd fret. Okay. If your bar chords aren't sounding very good, don't worry, it takes a little while to get them to sound good. Work on the technique, which is like, bar very, very close to the fret and parallel to it. You don't want it to be crooked, and you want it to be very, very straight. You don't want it to be bent at all like this. And if you can get all 6 strings to sound, then you're doing a good job. Okay. Other things you can do if you're playing an acoustic guitar is you can put lighter strings on your guitar. That makes it easier to press down on the strings and play bar chords. Okay. Usually you'll have help pressing down some of the strings. On this one, we don't really need to press down except on this bass note and the two higher strings, okay? All right, so let's do the picking pattern on F, and then on that last note, take all your fingers off the strings, okay? And that is really the last thing I really need to show you on this tune is the bar chord. Okay, ready, and okay, and then G. This time it's just G, like regular G, but without this finger because we don't need it. And I'm not sure why he does two different kinds of G. You'll have to ask Jack Johnson that. But yeah, this one is kind of simpler. He probably tried both of them out and said, I like the way this one sounds here, and I like the way this other one sounds here, so. Okay, and just watch out for the end of measures. You want to take your fingers off the strings. Okay, you repeat this 3 times, and then go to here. When you get to the end of this line, you have DS al coda, which if you remember means you go back to the segno. You have to do all the repeats and endings again. And a segno is this sign, the S with the line through it and the 2 dots. And then you have to do all the repeats unless it says not to. And then when you get to here where it says 2 coda or da coda or 2 bullseye symbol or whatever, then you skip to here. And in this case, they haven't spelled out the word coda. They just use the bullseye symbol, which means the same thing. And the last chord of the song is just that C without the middle finger. And that's a very nice chord. That's called C add 9, or add 2, or add 9. Okay? And that's the song. And it's a very nice one that uses the simplified right hand position without the ring finger, okay? And it's good to know both of them. And if you ever encounter like a finger style song and you're not sure, you can try both positions out and see which one feels better, see which one seems like simpler and easier to manage, okay? This one works here because the thumb doesn't have too much work to do. The fingers alternate pretty regularly. If you can't play it fast at first, just practice it real slow, and over time you can gradually work your way up. Okay, let's take a look at Eric Clapton, Layla, and this is the bridge to Layla. And you know, if you ever listen to the original song, it's got like a rock riff. It goes. Okay, we're not going to learn all that. You can look up the tabs for that and learn all of that. That's cool to do. The bridge is sort of like the second half of the song, and it's kind of like almost like a different song. It sounds like the first song ends and this other song begins, but we call it the bridge, and it goes like this. I really like this part of the song. It's a whole band thing, like the piano comes in and kind of plays the part I'm playing right now, and then there's a slide guitar solo, and I just took that piano part and some of the other parts and like put them into a guitar thing with the melody that they're playing, and also adding in the chukka strumming, okay? And that's why this is a good piece. If you want to take your chukka strumming that we worked on kind of to the next level with something that's more like a harmonized thing, like we did with Aloha Oi harmony with strumming or something. And this is just like a little bit more advanced, okay? So C we know, okay? And here's the strum pattern. It's just like the Aloha Oi strum pattern, actually. Or you can think of it as the Brown-Eyed Girl strum pattern if we take out the second strum. So Brown-Eyed Girl is down, down, up, down, up. Or we take out that second strum, it goes down, fake, up, down, up. Okay? And if you look very closely here, you'll see that it switches to C major 7 here on the last strum, and that's a very easy switch because all you have to do is take your first finger off and you get C major 7. So let's try that. Ready? And down, fake, up, down, off. And then we play this. And you want to get to 3 with your pinky finger because our next chord is going to be this F major 7 shaped chord, but with the pinky there. So 3, 2, 1, 3. Okay? And we're going to do a chukka strum. So we do that chord. Okay? Except you're supposed to do it better than I just did it. That's what you should hear. Just like that. And the next chord is F. So we take the pinky off and bar for that one. And that's an up. Up. So again, F with the pinky added here. Chukka. And then up on F with the bar. Up, up, chukka, and then F major 7. So we take the bar off, up, chukka, and then we add the pinky, but this time we do it to the B string 2nd fret, and we hit that with an up, down, and when we come down, we take the pinky off. Okay, so this is kind of complicated, but it's very cool, and the chukka kind of helps you switch from chord to chord. So let's go through those chords first because this helps. So it's like F with the pinky added on the E string 3rd fret, and then F with the bar, no pinky, F major 7 with the open string, and then F6 is with a pinky added, but this time to the B string 3rd fret, and then no pinky. Okay, and you insert the chukka in between that. So down, X, up, X, up, X, up, down. One more time. That's really the hardest part of the song. There's a part later on that's similar to that, but it's kind of the same pattern. So again, F with the pinky added. Ready? Down, X, up, down, up, chukka, up, down. Then this next chord, C sus 4, is like this. You take your pinky and put it here on the D string, 3rd fret, no middle finger yet. And this is kind of like that chord we learned, F/C, that we did with Amazing Grace and Aloha Oi, except no middle finger this time. This is called C sus 4. And you come down on C sus 4, and then up on C. So you switch from the pinky to the middle finger. And then we do this thing again. And then this chord. This is another bar chord, full bar across the 1st fret, B flat 7, and we get the ring finger goes on the D string 3rd fret, and the pinky goes on the B string 3rd fret. Okay. So doing full bar chords is kind of like the next step up. That will vastly increase the number of songs that you can do, because if you can't do bar chords and you find a song that does have a bar chord, you go, well, I can't do that because I don't know how to do bar chords. So, okay, B flat 7, and again, keep that finger very, very straight and you'll be good. And then you take it off and you do this little riff. 1, 1, 3. And again, you want to get your pinky here because this is going to be part of your next chord. And admittedly, this is a difficult chord because it's kind of a stretch. First finger goes on 1 on the A string, middle finger goes on 1 on the G string, and pinky goes on 3 on the B string. The ring finger isn't doing anything. It's just trying to stay out of the way. And you get all 5 strings in there, and that's a very nice altered dominant chord called B flat 7 sharp 11. And then you hit this note again, and then 1, 1, and C, and then strumming. Okay. And then it repeats, so when you get back here, there's a second ending part, C, A minor, and then this is kind of like D minor, except you leave this first finger off and play it with the open string, and then you add the first finger back here. Okay, I'm talking about this part right here. It's like D minor without the first finger, and then you add the first finger and play those 2 notes. And then hammer on, pull off. So we've done the hammer on, and I'm not sure at this point if we've done the pull off, but the pull off is kind of like the opposite. This is hammer on, and this is pull off, and you do them both together like this. Alright, so this is a 1 to 3 hammer on, so you hold the 1 and you hammer on the 3 and then pull it off. And if you're wondering why your pull off doesn't make a sound, it's because you need to pull down on the string when you pull off. Okay, so and then G, A minor. Okay, this time it's just like D minor, but we don't need this finger, so usually you just leave it off. That's all you have to do there. And then this is another one where we hold these 2 notes of the G chord with the first finger like this. So it looks kind of like C, but with our fingers here in the G position. Okay. And then you get the chukka, and then take the first finger off, up, chukka, and then this finger goes here on G2, and then off. And then you can add this pinky here, and back to the beginning, okay, to make the full G there. So So the main thing is the full bar for B flat 7, the chukka strum pattern for F, and the same pattern but for the G. Very, very cool. I like this one a lot. It sounds like modern music that's arranged for guitar, and it has a bunch of techniques in there that we learned throughout the semester, including a bar chord, a hammer-on pull-off. Okay, remember, to get the hammer-on, hit the string hard, maintain the pressure on it. To do the pull-off, pull down on the string. Okay, or I keep it going like that with a trill. That's called a trill. This one you only have to do that once. Hammer on and pull off. Okay, and then this chord is kind of difficult. Now, if you absolutely cannot reach this note, which I know some of you may not be able to, there's another version of this chord, the B flat 7 sharp 11, that's a little bit easier, where you just do first finger, middle finger, ring finger, all on fret 1. So it's 1, 1, 1. And this chord sounds pretty similar. This is B flat 9 sharp 11. And that sounds pretty good too. So this can be an alternative if you just cannot get your pinky over here. I think this one sounds a little bit nicer, which is why I like it, why I put it in the chart that way. But you can take that note off and put your ring finger on fret 1 instead and get the same chord, or you can actually rearrange your fingers to use those 3 fingers too, which is nice. Okay, so I'll give you a simplification out if you're having a lot of trouble with that chord. Okay, and that's it for this one. Let's talk about playing slack key guitar. So far, we've done everything in standard tuning, which is E, A, D, G, B, E. Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. And the last thing I want to talk to you about is alternate tunings. So standard tuning is the most common way to tune your guitar, and there's a bunch of other ways. And when you tune the strings down, usually, well, there's a couple tunings where you tune them up, but the ones we're going to talk about, the most common ones, are where you tune the strings down, and it gives you lower bass notes, and it gives the guitar kind of like a fuller sound. It increases the range of the guitar slightly, which is good, and this kind of ties in to finger style, because a lot of the things that are done in drop tunings or alternate tunings are these finger style songs. So the most common alternate tuning is called drop D, and it's also the simplest. That's just where we tune the low E string down to D. So you can do that by playing the D string and then the E string and tuning it down like this. Okay? And you can hear kind of when it reaches that octave difference. Okay, or if you want to tune to the same pitch, you can use the 12th fret harmonic. Okay, and this is a good time also to talk about the harmonics, because we'll encounter at least one of those in the next song. Okay, which is going to be this one, Liloa's Melee, which means Grandson's Lullaby by Sonny Chillingworth. Okay, so a harmonic, you do, the strongest harmonic is at the 12th fret. You put your finger right over this metal thing, not like pressing down on the string like we normally do, but just touching the string right over the metal part. The 12th fret's a very conspicuous fret. It's usually got 2 dots on it, and then you can just like mute the string, don't press down on it. If you can't find that place where it makes that sound, move your finger back and forth until you do find it. You don't have to be too precise on that fret, because that's the strongest harmonic. And then the second strongest harmonic is the 7th fret. And then third strongest is the 5th fret. And you'll notice they get harder to get. And you can use that to tune D to the same D. So you can tune to unison instead of an octave. Alright, that's a good one. So let's see, an example of like a good open D one is that song Norwegian Wood. With the drop D, you know, the most immediate application is like that D chord, which normally we only play 4 strings. We can get all 6 strings, and you can hear a much fuller sound with that low bass note. Okay, second most common tuning is called double drop D, and also pretty simple, and that's where we tune both E strings to D. Okay. Or you can check the harmonic. Double drop D. A good example of that is the song Ohio by Neil Young, which goes play the whole thing. I like drop tunings. It makes the guitar sound really, really good in the open tuning, the open strings, and the low bass notes. Okay, now the tuning, I guess it's hard to say afterwards what's the most common tuning, but I guess this tuning that we're going to do is probably the third most common tuning. It's pretty common for like mainstream music. It's called open G, you know, in mainstream music. Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones uses this tuning a lot. Some of his songs are using the tuning of open G, like Wild Horses and Brown Sugar. Those songs Keith Richards plays in open G. In Hawaiian slack key, they refer to this tuning as taro patch. They have their own names for the tunings, okay? And slack key just literally means that the strings get slack. They get looser because you tune them down, and they, you know, as you tune them down, they get looser. So we've already got the 2 Ds. And that's part of it, but we also tune the A string to G, and that's taro patch or open G. So we tune G, A goes down to G. Okay, and what that does is, you know, it tunes your strings to a G chord. So when we hold down this chord and we get the notes G, B, D, G, B, G. Those are the notes of the G chord. And now we're also in the notes of the G chord, except they're rearranged slightly. So the notes now are D, G, D, G, B, D. So same notes, but rearranged slightly. Now, once you tune down to that tuning, which now is we tune both the E strings to D and the A string to G. And that gets us to open G or taro patch. And so it's D, G, D, G, B, D. And a good thing to do now that we've changed the tuning is to go back and check all 6 strings with the tuner. Okay? Because when we drop strings, it takes some of the tension off the neck, and your neck has to kind of readjust to the new tuning. And normally what that does is that the strings that you didn't drop will go a little bit sharp, which is what's happened here. So it's just a good idea, once you drop the strings, you can do that kind of by ear. Doing drop D normally wouldn't change much, but now we've dropped 3 strings, so it's good to go back and check all 6 of them a couple of times, and your guitar will kind of slowly adjust to the new tuning. But you might have to keep going back and tuning it a little bit. Alright, so now we're in open G. Okay, and these first couple of pieces we use the open strings a lot, like quite a lot. So this one goes like this. With the repeat sign there, so you see the 2 dots, and that's all you need for a repeat sign, is just 2 dots. You don't need a fancy bracket or anything that you normally see on music sheets, and that takes you back to here. Now what I like to do on this is the same hand position that we've been talking about today, the right hand position, where the thumb plays all 4 of these strings, and the first finger plays the B string, and the middle finger plays the high E string, which is now the high D string, but it's just this finger, and then the thumb playing all 4 of the strings. Okay, and that works great for this one because we're not really playing on the G string at all, so it's kind of like, no, I don't want to say at all, because they might, I guess there's one here, but that's okay, the thumb can grab that. It's just not very much. You don't play the G string very much, right? So this is a good position for this one. So thumb, and then the middle finger, first finger, middle finger. These 2 you play together at the same time. Doing this hammer-on pull-off thing again, like we talked about in Layla. This one's a little easier because it's an open string hammer-on pull-off. So hammer-on and pull-off. And remember, to make the pull-off sound good, pull down on the string. Okay. So I think some of you might find this one to be a little bit easier than Layla and Imagine, because it's just playing a lot of open strings, which is good for the alternate tuning, because we want to hear those low strings, and that's kind of why we tune them down, to kind of simplify the songs a little bit. Okay. Okay, in a lot of ways, it doesn't matter too much which fingers on your left hand that you use. You know, you might want to use this finger for 2 and this finger for 5. Or, yeah, I guess I use the middle finger because sometimes you got to do this one, so you can go back and forth. So I take that back, middle finger. Only because The next one, you gotta grab this first fret one. The only thing I would say is that you probably should use different fingers to play these notes, like 9 and 8 or 7 and 7. So like 9, or you could do the ring finger, middle finger, just as long as you alternate the finger. And I mean, you can try it out different ways and figure things out on your own. That's kind of how a lot of people learn, is by problem solving and then figuring out, well, this way works like a little bit better. It makes things a little bit simpler. But I've played this a few times, and I just would recommend that you use different fingers on your left hand. So like if I've got a 10 and I do this with my ring finger, then I'll do the other 10 with my middle finger and keep alternating. Okay. And you get to kind of work your way up and down the fingerboard, which is like another kind of feature of slack keys. You have these that kind of thing where you're going up and down on the same string, or these chords sometimes. Some chords like that. Okay, I won't talk about them too much, but you can replay that portion of the tape if you want to learn those. And I'm just hitting these 3 strings, D, G, and E. Okay. Now, you can go and watch me play this on the example recording. It's pretty repetitive once you learn the first little bit, okay? And then at the end, you have some harmonics, and, well, just one, I guess. And the harmonic is on 12, and it uses the asterisks. So you'll encounter some different notations. One of the kinds of notation is if you have a harmonic and it'll actually say H-A-R-M, and the note will be shaped like a diamond shape in the treble clef, and other kinds of harmonic notation. Retard, that means slow down, so you're going along. That's a very common thing, and you'll see that retard, retardando, R-I-T means slow down. Okie doke, so that's a good one. And for the rhythms, just refer to the example recording, okay, and learn the notes and then try playing along with it at a slow tempo. And we have just one more of those. Okay, like I said, I won't walk you through every single thing on these because they're pretty repetitive, you know, after the first measure or so, with some variation. Okay, this one is Mahina's Trot. Okay, so trot, I guess, meaning that this one's like a little faster, you know. So again, I would use the right hand position we've been talking about today with the first finger playing the B string, the middle finger playing the high E string, which we've tuned to D, and the thumb playing all four of these. Okay, so let's go through this first few lines here. So thumb, ready, and thumb, middle finger, first finger, thumb. Let's try that again. Ready, and thumb, middle finger, first finger, thumb, first finger, and then this one we do it at the same time. So the 0 and 2. And this note is going to be the note that you hold. It's a quarter note. So 8th, 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 quarter, 8th, 8th. That's the rhythm on this one. Okay. Let's go down, skip down to here. So we're gonna do the hammer-on pull-off, and then a hammer-on. Sometimes I do a slide. I kind of like to slide on that one. You could do either way. Let's do hammer-on, since that's seems to be what it's indicating. So back to here, thumb and then middle finger, and we're gonna do the hammer-on pull-off. Okay, so thumb, hammer-on pull-off, and then okay, one more time from here. Ready, thumb, middle finger. Let's try the slide, because I like to slide on that too. Doesn't matter which finger, you can do the pinky or the ring finger. You know, it's going to be one of those probably, because you're going back and forth between 1 and 4 and 5. Okay, so from here, and this time we're going to slide. Ready, thumb, middle finger, and then slide. It sounds great both ways, whether you hammer on or slide, I think. Okay, so I think the challenging thing for me is the accuracy with the thumb, because there's a lot of G, D, D, G, D, D, G, D, D, and then D, 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 G, D, D. I'm just going through and playing these low notes, and I think that's the challenging thing for me. Doing these slack key songs is the alternating bass and playing the accurate note with your thumb. Let's see how they end this thing. Okay, so this I would just kind of do a sweeping strum with your thumb and do it slowly. Sustain. Okay, yeah, just strumming with the thumb. Okay, so I hope you had a good time this semester, that you did some things that challenged you, and that you, you know, persevered and practiced and made some progress, and now you're able to at least play a few simple songs. But also that you have some things to work on after the class is done with, and that you have a kind of a path forward towards music literacy and resourcefulness, you know, so that you might could find a song chart online for a song that you want to play if it's not too difficult, and be able to kind of read the tabs, or figure out some of the strumming on your own, which is one of the goals, is that you could be able to do things by yourself at some point. So yeah, music literacy, being able to read the charts, and resourcefulness, you know, being able to go online and find some of the music that you're looking for, okay, and know what to do with it once you have it. So and that's it for this class, and I hope you enjoy that and get some fulfillment out of this at the same time. Mahalo.